hello Thanksgiving, which is this week. So actually today for you, if you're watching it. So I'm probably wearing this right now, eating some turkey. Hello and welcome to the dress up closet. So excited to have you inside the closet today because we are going to have some fun chatting through a recent vintage and thrift haul from a little trip out to the desert, to the Joshua Tree area, and then beyond. It has been my birthday season, which always means there's more vintage treasures that are gonna come in the dress up closet. And so I thought it'd be really fun today to bring all those pieces in, chat through those finds, but also I'm gonna kind of play with them and chat about them and talk about inspiration or even the creative process of how to bring in a new piece to your closet and start to think about ways to think about them, to style them, to wear them. Anyways, we're just gonna have a lot of creative fun here in the dress up closet today, and so we're gonna dive into it. Also, I will tell you all the names of where I purchased these items so that, you know, if you were on some travels, you can pop into these places as well. We're going to start first with a piece of jewelry that is very special. And I went to the Pioneer Crossing Antique Store, which is right in Yucca Valley. And if you ever are on your way to Joshua Tree, my recommendation is that you stop in Yucca Valley and do some vintage shopping and also grab a quick bite to eat somewhere because there's some fun little spots around there. There's this whole little strip that has an antique store, a few vintage shops, and really you can just quickly, not even quickly because you want to take time in the store, but it's all right in there. You know, nothing's very far away. So the first place I went was Pioneer Crossing Antique Store, which I always love to dig in, especially for jewelry. That is where amazing jewelry pieces just pop out and you can find something really special. And my piece that I came home with is super special. The piece I came home with is this amazing gold tassel necklace. What makes this so great is that this is from Givenchy. So I'm probably saying it wrong, but Givenchy, however you want to say it, but it's super special. You can actually see the G details all the way around here where the tassels fall from. And then the tag also has the little kind of G symbol on it as well. The thing that I really like about this is that it is more of a cropped length tassel necklace. Often necklaces like these are longer, like they're gonna hang, you know, lower here, and then you've got that long pendant. But this one is actually shorter, and I really love that. I feel like it makes it a little more unique, and it's permanently in that knot right there. And anytime I have a gold piece, you know, I'm in love with it. I'm such a gold wearing girl. And I am so excited about this. And this feels like a very special piece to be celebrating my 45th birthday with. And I thought it'd be fun to just chat about ideas for styling necklaces. I love a necklace, but actually I can get stumped on how to pile or accessorize with my necklaces. And so I think it's fun to look at a little bit of inspiration. So I'm going to just throw up some different images on ways to kind of wear your jewelry. I love this first inspiration photo with, you know, two kind of more circle strand necklaces and then one layered tassel piece. I just love that stack. We've got 1, 2, and then 3, and that tassel piece I think adds that perfect little juxtaposition, makes it a little more interesting, and I feel like I could pull that off with that necklace, doing some stones with the gold or just go all out gold. Or you could do mixed metals with some, you know, silver or brass pieces in the mix. But I think that's a really great layering idea. And then this one is really fun because we have the stack with more of a choker, something then really chunky and chain-like, and then the tassel. So I feel like that also could be a really great combination, doing more of a choker and then adding something really statement with the tassel. This is a little more simple. I actually think this is a necklace that's been looped around twice, but I think you could pull this off with 2 different necklaces, laying the tassel down first and then laying more of a simple strand on top of it, but layering it over the tassel, maybe just right above where that knot is if you have something similar. And then finally, I really love this inspiration. I don't know if I would think to do this, but I would do the tassel and then a longer strand underneath. I'm actually gonna try it out right now, so let's see if it might work for me. Okay, I would maybe also put one that's a little bit longer, but even just with the inspiration of the photo and this combination, this is something that I wouldn't have thought to do. I could also, I think I can go up one more notch with that necklace, so pull it up just a little bit. So it's fun how you can use reference images like that just to even add more magic to your jewelry and necklace, you know, piles, or your, it could be your bracelets, how you wear your earrings. I just think looking at ideas is really helpful to kind of get out of the, you know, the repetitive routine that we can get in. And I definitely get into routines, especially with necklaces. So I'm so excited to keep trying some of the combinations that I shared. And this actually is totally inspiring me wearing it like this. All right, we're going to dive into some clothing pieces that I found. And one of my favorite shops on that strand there in Yucca Valley is called Desert Omen. I feel like it has such a great mix of everything. There's some Western, there's some like really old true vintage pieces. There's also a side of the store that has French workwear, and then some more current brands, but that have that vintage flair to them. And then there's amazing accessories, shoes, hats, all of it. Anyways, the piece I came home with, I'm so excited about it. Oh my goodness. Do you see this gorgeous skirt? Everything that I love. It's chocolate brown. It's midi length, and then it has an amazing embroidered and stitched floral design on the front. Immediately when I saw that skirt, I thought of Prada. There was something about it. I think the chocolate brown, the structure of the skirt, but then some of those appliques and interesting elements with the flowers. And so I was immediately in love. I tried it on. It was absolute perfection. And I actually like, it sits a little lower on my hips, so I will probably wear it low rise like that. But if I ever want to, I can take it to my amazing tailor and have her bring it up high waist. So I like that I can play with either. For a while I can do the low rise thing if I want to. Let's talk inspiration for this piece. I did think of Prada when I pulled this piece, and it made me in particular, and again, I'm going to throw some images up, it made me think of Prada Fall 2017. There were these amazing knit pieces with floral appliques. Now the collection in terms of color is much different than this. There are some amazing color mixing, which this is just fun inspiration in general to think, you know, orange and green, black and red, just things you wouldn't even think to put together, like orange and brown with green and turquoise with black and red. Noodle on that for a little while and you'll get inspired. But the look of this really feels like the look of the skirt, and it really just inspires me for this idea of playing maybe even with some of those, I will call them like kind of prim grandma pieces, mixing it with the skirt, but I think in a way that I play with color and then how I finish off the look. I love the detail of those T-strap Mary Jane shoes with some pops of color, then interesting necklaces. We even have some shells in the mix, which I think is so much fun. Yes, this entire collection, it just makes me think completely of the style of this skirt. So I really love that as some inspiration for styling. And then this one is definitely more in line with the color palette. This is more of a suede piece, which has some applique details to it. And it's that midi length, I don't know, it's just so classic. You know, when you're bringing in pieces like this to your closet, I think it is fun to kind of do a little bit of some research and some soaking up inspiration, looking at, even if it's just looking at like ways to wear brown skirts, or I loved to look at that Prada collection and it kind of just gave me some fresh ideas with the skirt. But I really am excited, and I'm just kind of even thinking here in the closet, again, I'm not going to fully style anything, but I feel like just with some of that in mind, going with the skirt, and then even, ooh, like I could go kind of more classic and pull out a brown cardigan with that, and then even bring some really bold pop of color into that and do a bright orange turtleneck with it. If I wanted to just really go for the all-out knit, I'm wondering, I mean, I could do this with the skirt, with the cardigan over it. I'm kind of falling in love with that. Or I feel like I have another knit piece. I think it's just this. It's like getting ideas and thinking about, okay, what about that you know, inspiration of that runway works, or what's interesting about it. And for me, it's like the pile of mohair and the interesting color combinations. So even maybe taking this red speckled mock neck, throwing it on with this skirt, and then even doing the cardigan with that. See, it's just already sparking so many ideas, and I'm loving it. And I haven't even put on my body, but I'm really loving that whole idea. I think, you know, it's taking style notes from what you're seeing in the photo. Again, not trying to copy it. It's really just what is interesting about this and what can I pull off from what's in my closet. I went ahead and hung up the idea so you can see it a little bit more as a full outfit. And I'm loving this. I think this is such a cool combination. And as I was doing that, then I was also thinking, like, what if I tied this in my hair, like with this? I mean, totally quirky, unexpected, very Pradaesque. You know, there's always something eccentric and really interesting about all the looks. And then maybe some even textury tights to go with it. Like maybe embracing that orange that's in that and doing some orange tights. And then I would probably do these shoes. And that just came from seeing a little bit of inspiration and workshopping it right here in the closet. I went then to my absolute favorite vintage store out there in the desert called The End. You have to go to The End. I feel like if you have a goal of traveling in Southern California, head out to the Joshua Tree area and go to The End. I think I've said this so many times, but it to me is where a lot of magical vintage pieces are. Kimmy, the owner, is incredible and her collection is truly magic. I know I use the word magic a lot, but there really is something extra magical in her collection. I mean, this is one piece in particular that I'm thinking of that I got at The End. So I just feel like it really is the place where the magic is found. It makes me very happy. And I found magical pieces this time. So let's chat through all of those pieces. I'm looking at my inspiration and we're gonna get rolling. So the very first piece, you know I'm a sucker for an accessory. And I actually think when you're at these stores, that's often first thing that you should look at, because the clown collar I have, the arm puffs, the hats, like some of those things to me that are the frosting on the cake. We have the canvas pieces and then we have those extra additional cherries on top that make all the difference in the outfits. And you can often find that at these amazing vintage stores. And so I got a few accessories. The first one being this unique, really fun scarf. I don't want to mess up my microphone. It's extra long, which is to me an added bonus. There's more drama to it. I can also loop it all the way around. It's also a rusty brown, which if I have to pick, you know, a color that I'm going down with, it's probably that. And I love that this feels like a boa, but it's, you know, yarn and more of a scarf material. Ooh, it's very fun. So little bit of inspiration for this piece. Let's chat. I mean, you throw it on anything and it's going to be fun, but I think, you know, let's look at some different ways. There's a brand called Zankov. I think I'm saying that right. And I feel like they use a lot of dramatic scarf styling with their looks. I love this look with that almost like fuzzy glitter or tinsel kind of that you would see at Christmas time, with this kind of whole set that's going on here. And then they threw on like more of a, you know, fur scarf, but I think you can kind of think of it like that. So I do love the idea maybe of more of like a prim kind of suit set, and then throwing this on for the added glamour and for the added personality to the outfit. Looking at some more Zankov, they did this amazing kind of cardigan look with a black and white fuzzy scarf. So thinking about color, but also combos of texture. And we talk about mixing prints a lot, but I actually think you can also think about like mixing textures. If we're working with something fuzzy, let's look for more fuzzy. So if you're looking for print, you're doing print mixing, you look for more print. It's that same idea, like texture on texture makes the outfit more interesting. More Zankov, I love the idea of these types of pieces paired with like more fancy. So sequins or, you know, glittery pieces, things like that. So some juxtaposition in styling. So with the texture on texture in mind, or kind of that dressed up or suiting moment, you know, what could we do? Okay, so I have two suiting ideas. I have this amazing 60s suit that I recently wore. You can see the photo right here. So very, I call it like my Beatles suit. It looks very Beatles, like London 60s, swinging 60s in London. Or I have this amazing, this also might be 60s or 70s. You guys let me know what you think. This amazing 3-piece velvet suit, which you can also see me wearing here. And I feel like throwing that scarf onto that suit. And we're gonna be pulling, I don't know if you can see, there's some great color in this velvet that is very complementary, or is the color of the scarf. And this is an example of texture and texture because we're working with velvet and then we're working with that yarn look. And I just feel like that adds something else to the suit. And with suits, I always think in some way, not completely, but I get stuck with dresses because sometimes I feel like a dress is just a dress, and then I feel like limited with my styling. Suits can be a little bit that way, except that you can separate everything. But, you know, if you've worn the suit and then you think, well, I put it back on and it feels the same. I think that is when these types of accessories come into play, is that I've never worn it with this ridiculously amazing scarf. So then all of a sudden it feels fresh and new. And to me, this is honestly, as I'm holding it, I'm just thinking like, hello, Thanksgiving, which is this week. So actually today for you, if you're watching it. So I'm probably wearing this right now, eating some turkey, and that feels very festive and fun and celebratory. I think it could be great with this suit too. This would be more playing with color mixing. Similar family, but different hues of browns and oranges. And I think that's a fun way to also play around with this, is thinking about that. So I feel like that just adds more to this suit, and kind of, this makes me think of Alessandro Michele's collections with Gucci. I could see, you know, that like that Gucci with that, and he did some boa styling, and that has a similar feel. And then I feel like, I mean, you could throw on, ooh, either like this hat, this scarf, this suit, or if that feels a little too crazy, but you know what? This is the land of always play dress up. There really is nothing too crazy. We're going beret, suit, scarf. And then I think you play with socks like those tights I used earlier, but I think you could play with a pop of color sock to kind of complement the whole thing, which of course now I can't find. I mean, here, we got like something kind of playing off of some of the color of the scarf with this print sock with the suit, and then you throw on like a velvet shoe. Another look for Thanksgiving, but also we're just talking holiday season, so a great party look too. We're gonna stay chatting accessories also still from the end, and I got another one very similar, but I felt like I couldn't pass up on it because it just felt like something a little bit different, and it's more of this kind of tassel-y, I almost call it like a rag scarf, like it feels like a little rag moment. When I put this stuff on, I just get so excited. Oh, it's so fun. Okay, so let's chat about this and some inspiration. I think similar thoughts from the other one is, you know, like texture, color, that kind of stuff. But I think what's interesting about this one, first of all, I'm just gonna pull up, you know, some maybe more basic styling. This is a fur boa as some inspiration, and I really like this look because it's like denim on denim, and then there's this feather boa. So I feel like that's just great inspiration if you want to kind of keep it simple. This has some really fun blue and green and purple and orange in it. So I feel like even like a army green jacket with denim, and then you throw this on and instantly you've got some added fun added to the outfit. But the thing that I started to think about is not just looking for inspiration that has to do with finding a, you know, fringy scarf as inspiration and how to wear it. Is, to me, this is a character piece. So I think almost, this is a funny way to think about it, but almost kind of like Halloween. You think about a character and then you start to pull all your pieces together and think, what would that character wear? But you know me, I love to think about like characters in the everyday. This made me think of a rag doll. So what if you use kind of a rag doll as inspiration with a piece like this? And it really becomes more about the eccentric, quirky, kind of almost craftiness that this could inspire in putting together a look. Then I start to think about everything in my closet that maybe a rag doll might wear. And these pants came to mind. These are remade out of, I think, probably either upholstery fabric from furniture, or they were made from a curtain or something like that. Let's think, what would this rag doll wear? And then top it off with this amazing raggedy scarf. And I feel like the rag doll might grab, you know, again, I'm all of a sudden thinking, how fun would this be for like a Friendsgiving? Well, sorry, you're watching this after probably Friendsgiving, or like a holiday little dinner with some friends. And then I'm going with like this magical velvet coat. So let's see what that might look like. So we're putting this on, which in terms of like mixing, we're looking to pull some common elements together. So this has like green, you know, teasing some of the same colors, and then you're going to add that to this, which is already so much fun. And in some way, when I put that on, it felt more like a clown collar to me. Oh my gosh, like how much fun is that? And then honestly, I like the black in this, and whenever I'm kind of channeling some quirkiness, like a classic, but still at the same time quirky shoe. My magic little Gucci slippers with this. Let me back up so you can kind of see it. I love that idea. And I think for a blouse or something, I might do like one of my blouses with a neckline that's interesting. I think I could play with this almost lavender, and it's got the ruffle at the top in there with the ragdoll pieces. And that would be such a great outfit. While we're in the fantasy magical land of dress up, I want to show you another amazing piece from the end, and I had to bring this home. It is this, I think, reworked either by somebody years ago or more recently. It's this gorgeous slip that somebody has added bric-a-brac and then a little lace detail here at the bottom. It kind of feels almost like a saloon girl costume or something, or kind of like a country western costume. But I loved that this was that slip dress idea, but with a little extra always play dress up magic added to it. So instead of just being a slip, it's an extra magical slip. Sorry, I meant rick-rack trim. The rick-rack trim, not bric-a-brac. Anyways, I have, you can see here, I have this corset that I wear all the time that has that rick-rack detailing, and I love it. I feel like every time I wear it, it feels, I talk about this a lot. I love something that feels theatrical, and that feels very theatrical. So you can kind of see this is something that I love to weave into playing dress up, and I feel like I actually haven't really thought about exactly how I would wear this just yet, but let's see if I can kind of think of something spontaneously with this. I think to make this kind of work for the everyday, the idea of maybe doing a turtleneck underneath. So let's go grab a turtleneck. Straight out of the gate, I pulled this leopard print turtleneck that has some shine to it too. I think that kind of makes it more fun. And actually very similar colors to the rick-rack trim that's on this. And I already feel like this is starting to kind of go into like a fun little party dress idea. And then I think I would grab a pair of fishnet tights to go with this. And then shoes, that could be really fun. Similar color palette a little bit, doing like a velvet platform with this. And then you've got the fishnets. And then that's kind of like the party dress look, but then I think it'd be fun to throw a really great coat over that, even like a fur or something that feels, you know, festive to wear with this look. And then I think maybe like a really great pair of earrings. I've been really into that really just like close to the ear type of an earring, but I love the idea of maybe adding a rhinestone to this look to just make it feel a little more razzle dazzle special for the evening. And then I might even throw, I mean, do we do like this sequin hat with it? Or you could do my hat that feels like a little showgirl hat, kind of like that. I think I would do this one with those velvet platforms and the rhinestone earrings. Ooh, such a fun look. And the last piece from the end, we are moving away from the theater and now we are going to the football field. The theater crew to the athletic crew, which that's what I love about playing dress up, is that there are lots of characters to be every single day. You don't have to be locked into one idea. And I really believe in that. And I probably do that every day. I'm like a different character. And I found this amazing, I'm going to call it like a football jersey type of oversized long sleeve tee. There is amazing quilting that is all the way around, and then it has this great sleeve detail, and I don't know if you can see it, but that has elbow patches in it as well. So it really has a lot to it that's not just your basic kind of long sleeve jersey tee. It holds a lot of structure to it. You can kind of see in this video there's like some structure to the top, so I love that anytime there's some extra fun going on. And then let's talk inspiration for this. I love mixing in athletic wear, and I think there are like a few we're going to chat about in a little bit with another piece I found. A few different ways that I've worn, you know, kind of athletic mix into looks in my closet. But let's just look at some inspiration. I love this, which I don't know the brand. Somebody needs to tell me. But this styling for this is absolute perfection. It makes me think of this shirt, and it's just a lot of juxtaposition. We've got the oversized jerseys over lace or kind of maxi skirts. We've got big chunky shoes with white socks. Here's another one from that same collection, which is a little more mixed in with a menswear look, not just with the skirt. But I like this. It's like actually very similar to the pants that I'm wearing today, more of like a cropped pair of men's pants that sit low, that have that great pleat there at the front. And we've got a belt, low hip length belt on with this look. And then we've got, you know, socks and loafers. So I think with jersey style pieces, sometimes we feel like, oh, we have to do juxtaposition. And yes, that's a really fun way to play with it, but it is really fun to just also keep it in more of like a menswear category. But I think what makes this interesting is a lot of the oversized elements to it. And there is some juxtaposition in the sense of like, this almost feels like a classic men's suit, but then thrown in, we've got a jersey, which kind of dresses down that look. And then can we talk about this? This look is just so inspiring. Okay, we've got like a jersey with more of, I think these are Dickies. Yep, like a Dickies pant with the waistband flipped. So you're seeing the Dickie, you know, symbols on there, which is very fun. And then we have a button down worn almost as a skirt, kind of low rise. Hello, inspiration. Like, I'm just taking notes on every level here. So I love the idea of that, like this kind of big boxy jersey shirt, throwing it on with some men's pants, flipping the waistband. And then if I want to throw very similarly like a button down on almost as another layer, but also I think you could take that inspiration and do more of like a long sleeve tee situation, like a camo t-shirt that's longer and then wrapped around low. And then I'm thinking like if I have on the, you know, tee, and then you've got kind of that long tee hanging down here, just adding more to the outfit. So much inspiration with that look. Okay, this is so great too. And honestly, as I'm looking at the t-shirt, I have the perfect skirt for this, but I love that there's this long sleeves jersey and then this kind of metallic, shiny, long maxi skirt paired with it. So that is all about juxtaposition. But there's like a moodiness to it, which I really like. It reminds me a little bit of the look that I just styled for the Meta Glam Hive event with this skirt, which is vintage Norma Kamali, my favorite designer to find. I love the drop waist of this, but I think paired with this jersey, honestly, I'm like, maybe I'm wearing this tomorrow. That's how I feel. Ooh, oh, so good. So yeah, just that idea of, we've got like this kind of over the top shiny skirt that you might feel like, oh, it's a party skirt. Pair it with a jersey. Great inspiration. And then I think one more that is fun. Okay, this is a perfect example of like ladylike juxtaposition mixed with a jersey. I love this look so much. We've got this very 1970s secretary high waist, you know, houndstooth skirt, a chain belt. So we're thinking, you know, overall this would be very classic to be strutting the streets of New York City in the 1970s. But paired with this jersey and a turtleneck underneath really adds something unexpected and fun. And I do feel like that's also something to think about, not just juxtaposition, but what I love about that one is that we're working with a collar underneath the jersey. Even, I mean, this is kind of could be a cool one where you take more of a dressed up blouse and then you throw, I love that it has the black and white too, and you then throw the jersey over that. Ooh, yeah. And then you've got this really interesting little black and white collar popping out. So cute. Also, I feel like I'm styling Wednesday Addams. Like that would be a really fun Wednesday Addams, like she goes to gym class look. And then, I mean, to kind of keep it in the family of doing black and white print mixing, could do this 1950s skirt with that and then just go full on black and white, but then we're juxtaposing with the jersey with some just more 1950s, very, you know, swish, swash, walk in the streets, D juxtaposition. Okay, so those were all the treasures that I picked up in the Yucca Valley area and that I got on my little birthday extravaganza out there. But what was very fun is that after I left Joshua Tree, I headed over to Rancho Cucamonga, which is kind of like if you were gonna go down and then go to LA, but before you get to LA, you stop in Rancho Cucamonga. And Savers, yay, my favorite thrift store, is opening a new location there. So I got to go and have a little fun preview with some other amazing content creators there as well. And we all got to, you know, shop the store and just see everything first, which it's such an honor and so much fun to do that. So I got to have a little fun at Savers in Rancho Cucamonga, and I found two really fun treasures that I'm very excited about. And then we're going to talk through those and maybe some ideas. The first one being this beautiful, very kind of like delicate crochet cardigan. It's very interesting. It's got this tree on the back. And what also makes this interesting, there's like little details here at the front. But what I also really love is this sleeve. It almost has like a cap sleeve and then with a long sleeve. So there's extra elements to it that make it feel very romantic and unique. It doesn't just feel like a typical, you know, cardigan or even a crochet cardigan. It feels extra special. So let's look at some inspiration for that. I was actually looking at Chanel, and there's a lot of this more, I would say this is like an antique lace or an antique crochet. And that's what this reminds me of, and feels very similar actually, just this piece in comparison with it. And I love the styling, of course, Chanel with some pearls. So I think that's kind of fun. Another inspiration that I really loved, and it scratched something in my brain, and I don't know why I liked that so much, but it's this antique lace crochet paired with more of a like a tweed, this is I think like black and white skirt. There's like a, I don't know why, that to me feels like a really interesting combination that I might not think of otherwise. And I'm just looking, even I got that amazing suit set at Savers in La Mirada, but I'm thinking, you know, would the crochet be interesting as the piece underneath? Maybe a little unexpected to put this kind of heavier tweed piece with this light crochet. Maybe that's the magic of it, is combining the almost like the thickness and the what you would normally think of as like dressed up, buttoned up with that tweed, very like British, off to the countryside or something, and then putting kind of this whimsical, romantic, delicate crochet with it. So I really love that. I like how it scratched that in my brain. And I think that's a fun way to come in the closet and kind of think, okay, like what do I have that feels like delicate, whimsical, bohemian? And then what do I have that feels British, countryside, classic, equestrian? And how can I combine those two? Just something to think about. Oh, I love this one too, with this sheer antique piece paired with like a contrasting black bra and then a black skirt. I mean, that's such a great idea. I love the idea of putting, you know, a black bra or even like a black bustier or something that like a black camisole underneath that creamy crochet. And there's something, anytime I see like a creamy white mixed with black, there's something about it that's so good. It's like romantic, but dark and moody at the same time. And I just really love it. So I think like a black bra with like a high waist, black pair of, leather pants. Let's just do that while we're here and chatting about it. Okay, so we have the black leather pants, and then I could do a black bra. You guys, I feel like, get that. I also like the idea maybe of like a leather or like a layering black piece over it. So not just under it. Oh, I don't know. There is all those amazing delicate details to this one. But I am already loving it like with the black leather. And then maybe this is a little bit different, but I'm gonna put an interesting bralette that has more detail to it, which I think more of like a black corset or bustier would be really great with this one, but this is what I have available to me right now. Yep, I'm loving that. How fun. Oops, I did it the opposite way, but you guys get the idea. So we have this amazing underclub bra. So a bralette or something, you could do a camisole. And then with the black leather pants, and then you throw over the delicate crochet, and then maybe like a really great gold earring to go with that. And like a fun heel. I mean, if it's not too cold outside, you could do like a little strappy black heel with it, but you know, something like that. So I think that's a really fun idea. And again, if you don't want to wear a bra or bralette, I think like a camisole or something like light and maybe has some lace details to it or whatever. But this would be such a great like little date night or kind of girl night out type of a look, thinking about that contrast of romantic and then dark and moody. And this last inspiration is very similar. It's that same idea of, I think this is Dior, yeah, Christian Dior, where it's lace, leather, kind of that mix. I think leather and lace and crochet and all that is always just very fun. The final piece I was very excited about, and that's because I'm a true fan, and that is, I was so excited, a vintage Rams sweatshirt, crew neck sweatshirt, everything about this. I mean, if you're not a LA Rams fan, no big deal. It's basically give your football team to you and find a thrift store and find the vintage version. This is from either the 80s or the 90s, because this is old Rams, which if you don't know the history, the Rams were here in Los Angeles, then they went to St. Louis, and then now they're back in Los Angeles again. But this is the era that my husband fell in love with the Rams when he was a kid, and so I found this and just about passed out. I was like, ah! So I was very excited. So let's just talk about the inspiration of another athletic piece, and I think I was mentioning it earlier. I love playing around with athletic pieces. You can kind of see here like that bodega jersey, wearing it with my Norma Kamali skirt. So we have the Adidas sweatshirt that I love to wear, And in this one even, it's not like super juxtaposed. I have it with like painter Carhartt pants, but then putting on a cowboy boot instead of maybe a sneaker is just a little bit of some ways to play with athletic wear. And then, I think this is probably the favorite way I've worn my Adidas sweatshirt. I did my Norma Kamali pinstripe skirt, this amazing kind of grommet waist belt, and then the Adidas. So that one to me is like go like office power suiting mixed with athletic. So I think these are some different ways to think about my Ram sweatshirt, but also could just think about your, you know, kind of team game day sweatshirts in your closets. And then just a little bit more inspiration. I loved this one. I love this kind of camo with the scarf and the hair. I feel like that's a really great easy go-to. I feel like that's such a perfect look for like a game day situation. I love that these are shorts, but if we're in the, you know, fall and the winter, pulling out a pair of camo pants, adding the sweatshirt, but then I think to make it extra fun, adding that scarf and the hair, or just think about like a different hat option besides just like a ball cap with the look could be really fun. I also love this. This is, you know, those images where you're just like, just sparks something for you. I love this. I love the red hat with the polo, with the kind of more schoolgirl skirt, with the socks, with the loafer style shoes. And I feel like this is a fun way to think about the Rams sweatshirt for me. So kind of pairing it with like a schoolgirl piece, like one of my plaid pleated skirts, throwing on a ball cap, but not like Rams, going with something a little more kind of a quirky mix with it. And then doing a continuation of the schoolgirl, doing a loafer and a sock or something. Could be really fun. And then I feel like I had a few more inspirations. I loved this one because we're combining sequins and athletic wear. So, I mean, this is like a great little sequin skirt, but I think any kind of sequin piece you have in your closet, even like a sequin tank top or camisole that you could like layer over your sweatshirt, that could be fun. Ooh, I do have an old, I think I have it in here. I have that sequin skirt with, I did like a old Braves tee, but the same idea, like a razzle dazzle sequin skirt with a cozy crew neck sweatshirt is a great styling idea. And finally, these icons. Hello. I mean, I just want to be these women. I love this. It's, again, it's kind of like classic. We've got the scarf in the hair, the trouser pants, the turtleneck, or we have the trench coat, the button down, the pleated skirt, but then the surprise in all of that is that there's an athletic piece in the mix. This is more of a, well, this is for a plane, right? Emirates. But, you know, the idea of like your team sweatshirt or jersey on top. So I really do like that idea of like maybe pulling out like a pleated plaid skirt, doing a button down, even doing a scarf in the hair, and then throwing the Rams sweatshirt over it. That is the roundup of my finds from my birthday trip and beyond, which was off to Savers. And it was so much fun to kind of do this, to walk in the closet and think through this. And I don't always do this, but I do love this idea, and I think this is something that I can remember and also you can take back to your closets. And that is often, especially if you're a big thrift or, you know, kind of treasure hunter, we end up like kind of bringing in a lot all at once, like, oh, I found all this stuff. And then maybe you know, send it off the cleaners or whatever, you hang it in your closet, and then you kind of forget that you got it. And then you think, what, how did I think of wearing this? And I think a great thing to do, I will do this. Sometimes I'll write down or put it in my notes, like when I leave the store, like what did I find? Or even take photos of everything I found and have like a catalog of everything I found. And then I will actually kind of dream up different ideas for it, or do what I did here, which is I did research kind of. I like got on Pinterest, or I looked at old ways that I've worn things, and I really just kind of, also Pinterest is great because you can kind of like find one idea and then they suggest more, so then it leads you down a whole path. And I would say that's kind of what happened with the ragdoll inspiration. At first I was just looking for, ooh, unique scarves, but then I kind of ended up down this whole rabbit trail on ragdolls, and I was like, wait a second, that's the inspiration. It's not the scarf, it's the idea of who would wear the scarf. So I think that made it fun. And then even when I walked here into the closet, it was like I already had some brewing thoughts, which then led me to more in the closet, instead of just kind of, it all goes in here and then I forget, or it all goes in here and then I get overwhelmed of like, wait, how do I want to wear this? Or you kind of go into your same patterns of how you always wear the same things. So maybe even just kind of thinking creatively with a Pinterest or something like that, and it'll help spark new ideas for you. And that is it. And that was fun. That was a fun haul. And honestly, this really inspired me. I feel like this made me think of things in a way that I wouldn't have thought of them. And I liked doing it with you and kind of exercising my creative brand with you. I love that. Because this is the Always Play Dress Up workshop, and we're here and I'm here to kind of workshop things, but then also inspire you to go in your closet and workshop things and have fun. Why not? Just fun to play dress up. So when we're entering the most fun season of playing dress up, there's things to go to and parties and events and whatever. You can use a random Tuesday as an inspiration and think, I'm going to be a ragdoll today. So thank you so much for watching. It was really, really a fun day here in the Dress Up Closet with you. And I wanted to remind you of a few things. First, head over to Substack and make sure you are subscribed to my Substack called Inside the Dress Up Closet, because we really just talk more about what we're talking about here on the channel. I'll have like shopping inspiration based off of what I found, because most of my stuff you can't refind it, or sometimes I can, and I get that link for you. But a lot of times it's like I'll find pieces that are similar, so that way you feel like you can find stuff that you like as well. Or I'll do mood boards. I've also been sharing a lot of kind of my favorite everyday products. I've been sharing some of the books I've been reading that I'm loving. So anyways, it's just like a place to kind of creative dump for you all. So head over and just subscribe to the Inside the Dress Up Closet. You have the option for free, which I do open it up, you know, especially if there's like big topics or big things we talk about here on the channel, I open it up for free. And then there's also opting in to a paid plan, which you get access to everything. So I will see you over there, and the link is down below to subscribe to that. And then on Instagram and TikTok, I'm just pumping it out, having fun playing dress up. So follow me over there. And then also check in on my Instagram stories. I'm trying to do more content there that feels almost like unpacking things more based off of what gets posted in the reels or in feed posts. So I'm just trying to kind of add more for you guys, just more to get you excited, to find a little spark during your day. So you can hop over there and follow me. And that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching. You can tune into my channel every single Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Happy Thanksgiving. If you don't live in America, then have a happy Thursday. If you're watching this on the day it comes out, I'm eating turkey right now. And finally, always play dress up. Bye.